Three middle game mistakes you keep making. Okay, today's video I'm going to be speaking about the three most common middle game mistakes I see lots of players make, and most importantly, it's the mistakes I used to make. It's the difference between myself now, say over the board 1700, online rapid rating around 2000, and say my previous self when I was maybe 1500. Just my kind of what do I understand now that I didn't. So I'm going to be speaking about three middle game mistakes I used to make a lot, and let's just get into it. So the first one is definitely just getting caught up in attacks. I used to make this mistake all the time, and I'm going to show you a bit of a game, and maybe you can relate, maybe you do this, or maybe you used to do it. But say we get a position like this, right? Black's played c5, it hangs a pawn, but we're not going to be looking at that for now. The move I played was rookie 3, and I see this all the time. I used to play this all the time. As soon as I would develop my bishops, I would develop my knights, I would connect my rooks, and that's all I knew. Once that happened, as soon as I get to a position like this where there wasn't, pretend there was an obvious way to win a pawn here because I didn't see it. So in my mind, I was thinking, okay, I've developed my bishop, I've developed my knights before my bishops, I've got my bishops out, I've connected my rooks. Now what? And now I used to really panic here because I didn't know what to do. So what I would do is I would play moves like rookie 3 and I'd play like rookie 1 when it's just no good. And I would always like try to put my rooks on like the G file and try start an attack, and sometimes it worked, but it's not how you want to play chess. If you play against a good player, you'll get punished for it. So that's the first thing. And now, so that's the first thing. It's attacking when you don't control the center. The only time you really want to attack is when, say, you control the center. It's just a general. If you control the center, then an attack is probably more appropriate. But playing moves like rookie 3 in this position is just outrageous. So that's my number one thing. Don't focus on rook lifts and don't focus on just early attacks that are very uncalled for. Now, number two is taking stock of the position. I never used to take stock of the position. Now, if you would take stock of the position, it would prevent number one, is those early attacks that I used to always do, and that you probably do or used to do. So a big difference between me now and what I used to is now I take stock of the position. I kind of pause for a second, and I do this in a lot of my games. I say, okay, what colors are my pawns on? Most of them on light squares, for example, which means my dark squared bishops could maybe be a bit better. If all my pawns are on light squares and my dark square bishop is good, and vice versa, if they're all on dark squares, I look at things like that. I look at my knights, like whose pieces are better here. My opponent's got a knight on d7. I'll look at things like that. I'll also look, can I create any weaknesses in my opponent's position? Can I maybe go a4, a5 and try and break this structure and then put a rook on this open file? For here, I can actually just take a pawn, but it's questions like this. I'd think, okay, is it really worth me taking here, or is my pawn here good, controlling this e5 square? Also, if takes it, also undoubles. So I'll look at things like that, and then I'll come up with a move. I'll think things like that. So taking stock of your position is number two, and now number three is, I'll use another example. I'll use an example from my most recent game. My number three is looking at minor pieces and pawn structure. I think understanding minor pieces and pawn structure will really help with your kind of taking stock, your evaluation of the position. For example, in this game, I played it quite recently, we get to this position where I go knight d5. Now, knight d5, now, I went in for this because I understood my knight would be way better. My knight can never actually be moved here. It's on a super outpost, and this is almost an extreme example, but you want to be looking at things like this. You want to understand where your minor pieces are good. If you want to almost understand, okay, if my position's semi-opened, is it closed? Okay, what minor pieces favor that? And say if I've got two bishops positions closed, how can I open it up? Always think about your minor pieces. Even back here in the game, I remember I was thinking, okay, rook d1. Why? Because this pawn's backwards and it's weak. There's a weak hole in d5. So if you can learn about weak squares, learn about minor pieces, learning about pawn structures, and learning about maybe, for example, in other games, when there's positions like this, I'd think, okay, this is weak. Can I fix this weakness? No, I can't. But I'll think about things like that. So just to summarize it, is the first one was getting caught up in attacks. You don't want to go for these early attacks with these rookie free moves that I used to always play. And number two is taking stock of the position, pausing when it gets difficult, and when you've connected your rooks, when you've got all your pieces. Look at taking stock of the position. It will take time. You won't get it straight away, but you'll improve on it. Just thinking, okay, what's my pawn structure looking like? Does my opponent have any weak pawns and all of that? And then and then the number three would be understanding and educating yourself on minor pieces, pawn structures, and weak squares. You can do one at a time, really. I mean, just understanding one of those things will really help your chess, because it'll really help with your evaluation. And I understand minor pieces, weak squares, and all of that a lot better now than I used to. And it'll definitely come with time. But those are my three things, the three mistakes I used to make. Not taking stock, getting caught up in attacks, and not understanding the minor pieces. So hopefully this was a value to you. If it was, leave a like up, as it would be much appreciated. And yeah, have a good rest of your day.